Video game Flash Fiction Homebrew Edition. This is a timed writing game where I randomly select one of these Atari 2600 homebrew cartridges, slot it in the console and play the game. And for the next 90 minutes, I'll give myself. We'll create a flash fiction story void of intellectual property from the sights and sounds of that game. This talk doesn't write, but rolling this dice will help make it be. When we roll a dice, it's 1 and 6-sided dice, so 1 to 6 from top to bottom to top rather. Not even. Let's roll that again. 5. Wow. Well, let's start with that one. This one is called Jupiter Wars. That's pretty good art. That's, someone took a picture and put Jupiter and put it on a cartridge. But hey, I'm down with that. Use with joystick controllers. And we have the joystick controller plugged in. Let me guess. The story today will probably be about war somehow. Oh boy. Okay. It is very difficult for me to see. And that sound, man, I hope that's coming through because that's just clawing at my mind right now. Wow. I'm just going to listen to it for a moment and try to think. It's pretty intense. I like it though. Like it's different. It's nice, unique. Let's turn that down just a little bit. And we'll jam out to it in a moment. But I'm going to play some Jupiter War and create a flash fiction story somehow. And watch this clock go down to 0. Okay. Hey, this is very reminiscent. I like this. This is, adding a little sauce to the spaghetti already. These shapes are very similar to Space Invaders. That one especially. And I got hit. Smoother graphics, I feel. Is that game over? I got like 1 life. Wow, I can appreciate that. That's okay. So, and then I wonder. I like little TIE fighter looking ones. It says I got 3 lives. Oh, I see. I was getting hit prior. So you don't like blow up. You just can take damage. And Jupiter War. Are these like I'm going to be sounding like an idiot. That's kind of obvious. It's going to happen to everybody probably throughout the day, and that's okay. But if I'm not, is Jupiter's the gas giant? Or, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to look that. I've had to search and I want to play this game. So Jupiter Wars, obviously, that's the name of the story. Kind of tells the story, right? I guess you'd be the defender of Jupiter Wars. What was the... And I want to add like a potential... I want to make this pluggable, maybe into a novella. And I don't want to go dystopian. It's hard. Like, that's just an overall theory. Well, not theory. Configuration attempt of how I write. I fall back to dystopia when something's called Jupiter Wars. It's easy to fall into that war. Whether you're victorious or failing or it's just another war day, it's still easy. It has its conflict. How can I make this not about war? So let's think that. I don't know if it's possible. Shooting each other, shooting love poems, maybe poetry. And when that poetry hits the spaceship, it explodes. Maybe it gets That'd be too weird, though. Like, maybe every utopia has to start from this place of dystopia. So at least everyone has a common understanding of what that utopia is not. It's not the dystopia we were experiencing at the first of the story. And so maybe it can convince people that they'd be willing to sort of give up their ultimate utopia where, if they wanted to be a mass murderer for some reason, they could, or they just wanted to be a worker, they could, or they wanted to be sitting in a field, they could. Utopia is very subjective. War is not. Why you have it now, but like the result, you're gonna die. People are gonna get killed, and it's never gonna end truly. But it will here, and you're on Jupiter, and it's a war, and there's different types of spaceships. So that means this is like, maybe it's a corporate war. Whoa, that's what it's gonna be. I think so, with all the different types of like ships that are flying in here. Someone's got some pretty good manufacturing going on, to say the least. And they can mass produce a thing, and they can get it to Jupiter and not be worried that their offensive might is getting outdone by a single gunner who just wants freedom for the worker. And it's only because they're so far away from the corporate Earth. It comes into a corporatocracy. It's going to buy out everyone. The corporate world's going to. I mean, it's already buying China. War machines bought Russia. Entertainment and war machines bought America. The corporate's winning. So corporate Earth, we'll say. And Jupiter's so far out, it's hard to, the further in space something would be, even if you were a mighty thing that were able to mine asteroids and other planets for the materials you need to make ships of different shapes and then fly them someplace. You wouldn't be, if you were one entity, like, yeah, it's got to be corporate. And they're all sending their private armies because there's no civil defense anymore. It's all corporate security. And that's the Jupiter Wars. At least that's where my mind has it, and I feel like that's kind of where the zeitgeist of lots of thought is right now. So let's just kind of get that out, and it's going to be, let's be against the corporatocracy. Let's just create the file. I need to understand more about Jupiter. Can be the scene. So the scene is you and your standard A defense class spaceship shooting at the different corporate private security attack spaceships. It's war. I was thinking while I was sipping that coffee right there about how that would be, how to make it interesting. So what's the like the resolution in this game? Let's play it a little bit more. I'm gonna reset the game. I mean, I like this game. I think it's pretty cool. We all code upon the shoulders of giants, and then sometimes create something magnificent unto itself. I love the clouds. I think I'm gonna. I don't like. I need to get the makeup of Jupiter, and then I can add this in. But the plot. I mean, obviously, you're getting a new wave of corporate raiders coming down and attacking you, and they're from the different corporations that are trying to take back Jupiter because the workers unionized. And so it's like the Jupiter Wars is against the Union, and they can only create the Union, the worker union, because they're so far away from the corporate headquarters, which is Earth. With the moon and not Mars being the like backup. Like Mars is going to be populated, and only certain corporations, probably the corporations that rule Earth and have the money to get to Mars too, and then control everybody there, because that's what they want to do. And that's what they're doing. So in the Jupiter Wars, is it just another day? It's just no. This has got to be a final thing. Whether bad or good, it's got to be the trigger of the change, the failure or success, and I don't know what it's going to be. It's just not going to be another day on the defending of the Jupiter Wars. So I got to build up what the Jupiter Wars were, at least in one paragraph, or R rather. I mean, you can assume a lot when you say Jupiter and wars, location and what's going on. But the why, and maybe first person. Maybe first person, like some sort of historical narrative telling a past event that caused a change, and you just don't know what that change is. Maybe leave that open, but there's going to be definitely a conflict, and that conflict will resolve in a move a major plot or resolve a major plot in the same time. And flash fiction, so we're talking 800 words, and we got an hour and 18 minutes. And I'll be playing Jupiter Wars a little bit more here and there. I dig the reset, the press of the button. I love the shout out to the name too, the creator of it. I think that's what it is. Again, my screen right here is not as dense, as contrasting as I'd like to be, but I think that's the individual's name. Anyway, I should focus on the story. This video game flash fiction, I got to write a story, a fictional story about this. And so the corporate, let me read on Jupiter, and I'll read out loud. I'm going to do a search and return engine on Jupiter. And we'll see what Jupiter has to do with. It's the 5th planet from the sun. It's not, fantastic. That's great. That's like just the next planet over, right? We're the 3rd rock. We got Mars and we got Jupiter. If it's a gas planet, they're gas mining, and they're sending it back in rocket ships. And they've taken one of those things. I think, isn't it? What is it? 5th planet from the sun and the largest in the solar system is a gas giant with a mass more than 2. And thank you, Wikipedia. I did donate, and I have donated this year. I do every year. I get guilty because I use it a lot. And if you can give some money to it, please do. Anyway, I had to plug because that's where I'm reading this from. Jupiter is the 5th planet from the sun and the largest in the solar system. It has a gas. It is a gas giant with a mass more than 2.5 times that of all the other planets in the solar system combined, and slightly less than 1,000 the mass of the sun. Its diameter is 11 times that of the Earth and 1/10 of the sun. Jupiter orbits the sun at a distance of 5.2 AU with an orbital period of 11.86 years, and it is the 3rd brightest natural object in Earth's night sky after the moon and Venus, and has been observed since prehistoric times. Its name derives from Jupiter, the chief deity of ancient Rome religion. Jupiter was the first of the sun's planets to form, and its inward migration during the primordial phase of the solar system affected much of the formation history of the other planets. Jupiter's atmosphere consists of 76% hydrogen and 20% helium by mass. With a dense interior, it contains traces of elements of compounds of carbon, oxygen, sulfur, neon, ammonia, water vapor, phosphine, hydrogen sulfide, and hydrocarbons. Jupiter's helium abundance is 80% of the sun's, similar to Saturn's composition. The ongoing contraction of Jupiter's interior generates more heat than the planet receives from the sun. Its internal structure is believed to be consistent of an outer mantle of fluid metallic hydrogen. Jeez, wow, let's go live there. Jupiter's an, yeah, I don't know. That's the Jupiter Wars, yo. They're mining hydrogen, maybe. Right? Helium, mining both of them, sending it back in these big, huge ships so they can make it really condensed. They're using pulling water vapor and oxygen in the air for their spaceships to be able to survive. They've converted some of those large transport spaceships into things that can shoot bullets at the incoming people. They try to unionize to actually get a percentage of the company. All right, let's try that. That's where I got this. So Jupiter Wars began after Jupiter. I don't know. This narrative seems flat already. Like I'm gonna fall into some sort of like boring verbs, like began. Jupiter Wars began after who would be the megacorp that comes out of this? There's got to come something that comes after now and starts buying up like Amazon and Apple, because one corporate entity per nation. And so there'd be like say 100 corporations representing the nations of the world, of Earth. Corporations. Corporation nations. Ruling Earth and controlling the moon and owning Mars. Killed a union member. Speak on Earth after returning hydrogen or helium. And, maybe spare hydrogen. I don't know how this works. It's huge. You just get that thing going and you got a lot of trains of this stuff going to like past Mars. Maybe on Mars. Ooh, after killing. I'll just throw both those things in there from Jupiter. No, let's not do that. That's after the union, after the workers unionized. Wanting a share of the profits from mining helium and hydrogen on Mars. Jupiter Wars began after the 100 corporate nations ruling Earth and controlling the moon and owning Mars, and after the worker unionized wanting to the Jupiter Wars began after 100 corporate nations ruling Earth, controlling the moon and owning Mars. Let's put a little semicolon right there. Boom. And another semicolon right here to help the reader just a little bit, even though that's a long sentence. Attacked union workers on Mars The workers unionized and voted to strike until they received a share of profits for mining the helium on hydrogen and Mars. They're not going to die. Working said, Yvonne, so what's the victory? Okay, I kind of have at least a setup. Yvonne firing a laser beam affixed to a helium transporter. Oof, this will be a sentence to read. Or I don't know. Let's just move on. Said Yovan, firing a laser beam affixed to the helium transporter. They're not going to die here on Jupiter working, said Yvonne. Wow. Firing a laser cannon affixed to the helium transporter at the Amazon X Apple. Be like, so each oh, we gotta throw in oil though, right? I mean, I'm not being fair. I'm throwing tech because I think tech's gonna lead it. But then you got those like old school corporate, sorry tech. You're gonna probably like distribution bullshit and hardware and making things look pretty. And I mean, there you go. That gets you all you need in between. The helium transporter at Amazon X Apple it'd be the security space fighter, the Amazon X Apple security space fighter XA4. Ooh, AXA. Shaped like I mean, this is a long sentence for some people, but for other people, it's just a sentence. I'm going to leave it the shape that it is. Where are things? There they are. Shaped like, which one is it going to be? Let's play this game again. Let's find what the AXA is shaped like. You're in a modified hydrogen transporter that has a laser beam affixed to the front. Ooh, their bullets can like curve too, man. That's like they're heat-seeking bullets. That's no. I mean, I guess if you own the army, you're protecting your corporate interests. You're gonna invent cool things like that bolt right there. That is just. I guess they only get one shot though. No, that one gets two. Which one is it? The squid-looking one, the sleekest-looking one. I want the TIE fighter-looking one. I'll try not to use that for like a TIE fighter because then I'd be using someone else's intellectual property. Maybe it's shaped like an AXA. Like, yes. Shaped like an AX. Is any one of these shaped like an AXA? Like, it has to be something in the game. Like the hydrogen transporter, yes, it was just a simple cone. They fixed a laser, and that's you. Let's go Jupiter Wars. And this is known as the Jupiter Wars. It's going to be a turning point because it's going to get transmitted back through all the other workers. They're sort of indentured because, if you can't live on Earth, they'll ship you to the moon. If you don't want to live there, you got to go to Mars. And then if you don't want to go to Mars, you got to be in Jupiter. And if you die along the way, the corporate nature doesn't matter. Like, they're going to heal because you're insignificant, been written off. And they'll probably make money somehow, make your story, embellish it, make you a hero. Oh, you did this, thank you. And then you find yourself on Jupiter one day. And here comes the AXA. I think it's going to be that thing that looks that one right there, the top, the one that I can actually see, other than me. I guess I'd be the one firing the cannon. Actually, no, it's Yovan. I don't know. I just wrote that name. I want to find the way to say it. And I probably should put a comma after that. It said Yovan, comma, firing a laser beam affixed to a helium transporter. Okay, so that's a little bit too much of a sentence. That jumps around subjects. Let's the beam shoots shaped like a AXA. But that's kind of the perspective, I suppose, of how this is supposed to be. I'm imagining this just flying through space. I don't know why you'd want. And I'm looking at the screen right now, and I see my character. It's paused. The game's been done. And there's that thing that looks like a car is coming at you. If I were to describe it, I don't want to use a car is coming at you because I don't want to put a land vehicle in the reader's mind when I'm in space. That's, a little bit too simile. When you start using similes like that, you start taking, like, the reader into another world you may not want them to be in. One where cars exist. Versus on Jupiter, and you have the Amazon X Apple Security Space Fighter XAX4 shaped like an AXX. It explodes. And Yovan says, not unless you come to Mars. Kill the workers. I mean, because if you're born into let's say a corporatocracy, you're worth your work and you're willing to output in your data you can create, and that can be done many different ways. Like, if it's got this sophisticated to get you to Jupiter, I'm sure they can somehow take your thoughts, and maybe if you're creative, you get paid for more ideas to help the network or whatever the world consume. And let's say you populate the moon, then you get to Mars, and you're at Mars, and you got to go to Jupiter. Each of those, the corporate would take more control. Over Earth would be a little bit difficult. There's a lot of people, take a few generations to get the history rewritten. No, it wouldn't. With the way things are now, history could be rewritten, is being rewritten. No, I'm not saying history is not subjective, but there's a lot of historical accounts that can help make it objective that seem to be sort of overlooked and will be continued to overlook. What I'm trying to get at here is that there would be this sort of like, if you lived on Earth and couldn't succeed, then you'd have to go to the moon and you lose less rights because it's closer to the corporate. You'd be more like a indentured servant or someone on a Visa card where, shit, if you can't make it there, then you can be sent to Mars where you have to have absolutely no rights. Not a Visa card, but a Visa to be able to work here, like an HP1, that you'd then get sent to Mars. And if you couldn't work on Mars, where you have zero rights, and your last option is Jupiter, you're just like, maybe you work your way back. You could work your way back to the moon and then Earth. Because let's face it, like, Mars may be cool, but it's going to suck. Like, there's going to be few people that are going to live. A lot of people are going to die. Like, would you rather be on Earth? I think so. Like, I personally would, even over the moon. And Jupiter would just suck. So this is like the people who've been kicked down and they're just scraping by to survive, and they're trying to unionize because they got this idea of maybe having the corporate profit returned to them. Sharing, like, that gets people enthused. Like, if I bust my ass and it gets me more money, yeah. And then just tax it. All right, let's get back to the game. Let's play it one more time, because I now know. And what about the other ones, though? Now I got to think of like at least 3 or 4 others to show it's more than just the one corporate interest, because it'd be really whatever corporate entity could make it to Mars and populate it. You'd have probably a lot of resources and power. And you'd almost be like, the way that you can get to Jupiter is that if you actually had something on Mars as like a potential stopping point, and maybe Mars is paying for it, and that's why you have corporate offices on Mars. That's where all the twisted stuff goes. But that's a different story called Citizenship Chip. All right, I died already. I get like 3 hits. I can appreciate this game. The curving bullets kind of upset me a little bit. Like, I'd love to be able to curve my bullets. I can't. They're like coming at me too. Like, yeah. It's no fair. It's challenging. So at least 3 different types. Like, I want the one that I got to try to define a TIE fighter without saying TIE fighter. Jupiter Wars. Maybe I'll just have that screen. How long does that screen go for? I got to go for it. I'm going to leave it on. Geek Basic? Is that the creator? I don't even know. I mean, these are all marked Homebrew, and they don't seem to have any. That's fun times. All right, so not unless you come to Mars to kill the. Well, not to Mars. We're going to Jupiter. We're beyond Mars. Mars is for corporate wusses. Real people go to Jupiter. There we are. So not unless you come to Jupiter to kill the workers. Yep, that's the sound. I wonder, like how long it like took to just decide on those sounds and then program them in. That'd have been kind of fun. It'd be frustrating for me because I just don't know the tools. Neither the music nor the way to code that into some sort of sound that can come out of an Atari 2600 that was created, let's just say a while ago. 40, 50, 50, 50, 50-ish, over 50 years ago. If I'm not mistaken. Could be. Happens daily. Not unless you mess, sometimes hourly, and sometimes back to back. Not unless you come to Jupiter to kill the workers, said Jovan. Jovan's modified helium. Is it helium transport that I have it as? And hydrogen transport. I may be spelling those wrong, but I just got to kind of write something. I do have 55 minutes left, so I'm not stressed. I don't know how this ends, though. Like, I want to make it resolve that something. It has to be felt as like a pivotal moment and give the person a hope who reads this that that they'll win, maybe. But at least they ain't gonna, well, sit around and do nothing anymore. All right, so Yovan's modified helium hydrogen transport flies through the dense gas giant, protecting maybe they're trying to escape. Maybe that's what it is. You've transformed these containers and one actually has people in it. And they're just trying to get away from Jupiter. Like, it sucks. It's just not fun. They'd love to get back to Earth. Because they're not going to get a share. And they do have a laser cannon on fixed to this transport. And Yovan, they're flying it. So it's going to be that is going to be the primary protagonist. The antagonists, of course, going to be the corporate entities coming to fire. All right, so now we're shooting. Yes. And I got hit once. I do like how it just takes a mark away instead of like makes you blow up and start all over again. But then you're just done. I can appreciate that. Do they have levels, maybe? I can appreciate that too. All right, let's go back to the sound. I died. Such is war. Thus began the Jupiter Wars. But do I want to have like that larger? Yeah, I don't know. It's I don't know. It explodes. Not unless you come to Jupiter to kill workers, said Yovan. Yovan's modified helium hydrogen transport flies from the dense glass giant, through dense gas toward a trajectory. That's just not right, but it's not going to annoy me that much. It will. Like, I'm going to read that. When I read that aloud at the end, it's going to be difficult for me to do so. At least I'll have a momentary of why. What is that even right? Trajectory. Like, I say it incorrect my entire life. How would I expect to even try to be able to spell it by enunciating? Trajectory. There we go. Trajectory. Toward a trajectory of Mars. So to go to Mars, I had described it as there's only going to be a few corporations on Mars. So the 100 corporations ruling Earth. The 10, we'll do numbers like this. Corporate. We'll have the empire on Mars, maybe. Like, because if you can make it to Mars, that's like a... that's a flex, right? Like, if you're the first business to actually, indenture workers on Mars and convince them that's for their own good, that's success. You're pretty good at what you do. Jupiter Wars began after 100 corporation nations ruling Earth, and the 10 super corporation nation, right? They never thought about the 10 super corporation nations controlling the moon And we'll just have the 3 not even nation though, right? Like the 3 super corporation nations. Would be like the top 10. Something you voted out of and you lose land on Mars, like some sort of corporate war. Maybe. Why not? We got to have a starting point someplace. But we'll get it. We'll find it out. They're not going to die here on Jupiter working. I guess they're doing a job, though. Maybe that's just it. Like, maybe that's how it can end. Yovan, everyone realizes they're just being told what to do and doing their job. I'm going to have some, like, heartfelt speech Yovan gives to this horde of approaching corporate security that's just going to kill everybody. All the workers, because it's easier to get rid of them than hear them complain and replace them. Maybe takes an average span of a year when you realize you're really not going to leave Jupiter. And then within that year, you can easily be replaced by the next ship that comes. So the ships should be equipped to bring people in too. So it's not out of the realm. And so they've just commandeered one of them that has been configured to put people instead of helium and hydrogen. That's the things they ship. People only ship in usually, though. Explodes, not unless you come to Jupiter to kill workers, Yvonne. I think that's it. If I even remember what I just said out loud. The transcript I'm taking will, but I certainly won't right now in the moment. So they're flying back. They triggered an alarm. That's what I can do. So 100 super corporations controlling the moon, and the 3 corporations, the 3 mega corporate nation, corporate empire, owning all. So would you own the moon? Yeah, you would control it. But these 3 corporate mega corporations own Mars. Empire too. All right. You know what I need to do? I need to turn down the sound just a little bit. It may not be coming through quite loud. Not sure how I have my microphone configured right now. Though I do enjoy the sound. It is awful repetitive. And intense too. The 3 mega corporate empire owning Mars attacks the Union. So I just have 3. Everyone's attacking Jupiter. All the corporate powers. They got to make an example of this. And voted to strike until they receive a share of the profits of helium and hydrogen. The workers stole a freight, stole a transporter, still configured to haul humans to Jupiter. They're beyond Mars. Jupiter's or Mars is who can't go to Mars these days, right? Put a t-shirt on, I'm there. The workers stole a transporter, still configured to haul humans to Jupiter's to work. And loaded on the dying, the sick and hungry. To ship people back to Mars? To Mars or Earth or the moon. And, I realize there's a lot of mass and whatever type of carriers I'm imagining science fiction wise that would be able to survive the pressure of that mass collecting this gas. I'm just going to hand wave it as we're that cool. If we can, if a bunch of rich people want to go live on Mars and feel safe enough to do that, then there's a lot of money that's already been invested to be able to create the ecosystem and the security and tragedy backups to help those people feel like they'll still be able to be important and live. And that's what I'm imagining. It's like the brag. Maybe they don't live there, but they have a cabin on Mars, and they're gonna take their friends to Mars. So then they can maybe do a space cruise around Jupiter and check that out. All not sure what type of propels, scramjet, whatever. Something's going fast, fast as you'd want to be able to. Or required to, else someone would die before they got there of old age. The moon. Okay. They affixed a laser beam to shoot their way out. Flying. I gotta do this. I gotta flying the spacecraft, the transporter, and firing a laser beam affixed to the helium, affixed to it. The beam shoots at an Amazon X Apple Security Space Fighter AXA-4, shaped like an axe, AXA. I mean, that's the reason I also like that name, is that I could use that sort of initialism, have the arrogance of creating the spacecraft that seems so impractical just to be able to get an advertisement out at the same time. It explodes. And the AXA explodes. The AXA fighter. I could just do this. That's less words. Not unless you come to Jupiter to kill workers, said Yovan. Flies towards Mars. Because again, Mars wouldn't be, it's, I don't know, closest. This has been a plan that's had been in the works for a while. And you'd want to go, Mars would be easier. If you can make it there, you probably won't. But I think that's maybe the end is going to be that trigger. Yeah, I think I can write that. So Yvonne's modified helium hydrogen. Yvonne flies the transport, guides the transport, or at least. What do I have here? What time do I got? I got 41 minutes left. I got a beginning. Maybe some understanding, some showing, a little bit of telling, a lot of talking. But I think it's good. It's got some mechanic of the games of going, a swarm. Yovan transport flies through the dense gas toward a trajectory of Mars. A swarm of corporate security fighters. A swarm of AXA-4 AXA4. Ah, man, this is going to be the difficult part. I got to think of like 2 other ones just to have the 3 that are on Mars. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking, that's difficult. It'd be something like I'll just clump like the Asian market and kind of like the Eastern, I guess, market. So all of Asia and then the Mid East, and then just give equal. Like, where does that leave Europe? Roll the dice. Because then you have like a Europe conglomerate too. Maybe in the middle, like there's 4. So let's just think of. So that'd be Europe would have one of the major ones, and then 1's China and 2 is or Asia. Like, I don't know what that would really include. I don't want to get into geopolitics all that much, but I want to be able to clump masses together to think where the next corporation's coming from. And that, I don't even know what that was. Let's just go with China. In Europe. We roll the dice. Like, that's just the ones that make it right now. I'm not saying the other ones can't. There's plenty of corporate powers throughout every country that has the underpinnings of making it to Mars, to be in the empire of the corporate nation, the corporate empire, to be the leaders of the corporate empire. A4A fighters, but I don't know, God, like anything about anything. Like, I can only think of oil. Like British Petroleum. I mean, yeah, like, I'm so ignorant. I can only think of. Let's go with. God, I don't even know. I don't even want to look it up, to be honest with you. Let's just hand wave it. And I could do the initialisms. The squid. What is... I think I'm war too. Like... Yeah, and that's, I guess, the difficult part. What would that look like? Does the EU... Maybe it's the EU. We'll go there. Like, what does that even mean? It can easily be controlled by corporate entities. Anything can. It'll get bought and sold someday, if not right now. Just more obvious. I don't want to go down that road. I don't have time. I got 37 minutes, and I got to think of a meaningful ending into this. The A4 fighters. Swarm. See space. I gotta throw on the other ones. I gotta have something. Let's just do that. Let's go. What's the largest corporation in China? Let's do that. Search and return engine. Tell me. So Tessent. I'll just randomly pick some of these here. Well, damn. The State Grid Corporation of China. I guess it'd be China. Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's just do that. Let's not even go private. Let's just say the fighters swarm through space. China space and mining fighters, security fighters. And let's do a separate sentence so I can describe that right there. A few China space and mining security fighters swarm fighter shaped like, which ones are they? Like octopuses. With waving arms that cut through space. They don't need, I mean, you don't need, that's just it though. Like, but if you're in a gas planet and you somehow can survive the density and somehow can have enough force to fly away from that mass, these are all things we're going to assume they thought of before going to Jupiter to mine it, because they had nothing else to do or have workers do to make money. So a few China space and mining security fighters shaped like octopuses with waving arms. So I don't know if the waving arms, that'd be bad. Like if you had pressure, it'd be hard to move those things. Yeah. In space, it'd be fine. Bending under the pressure. Again, I'm assuming what little I know of physics and what I just read from the Wikipedia definition of it, which, again, donate if you can. Not getting paid to say that. I just use it and I do donate myself. A few China space and mining security fighters shaped like octopuses and with waving arms bend under the pressure of Jupiter. Fly through dense clouds. Dense glass. Clouds. One other one. So I said I think I rolled Europe. So what's the largest EU corporation? I want to go EU corporation. Sorry, everybody else, but that's just a large body. Largest EU corporation. Okay, by revenue. Let's go with Wikipedia again. I'm cool with that. What is the top? Ooh, wow. Volkswagen. Gas. Cars and energy, oil and gas. Wow, I love it. Yeah. So what would be like the Shell Volkswagen? But why would, that's European countries, not EU. Let's just go European. Let's just throw them all in a big, even because I was trying to look up EU and then I seen United Kingdom in this list with Shell and British Petroleum or beyond something. So it's just all Europe. Let's go there. Oil. France has some gas, of course, Total Energy, and more fuel, more energy. Financial services. I don't want to roll the dice, but I'm going to. Well, at least for 1 through 8. So it looks like Mercedes-Benz, Glencore. Okay, whatever that is. And a re-roll because it's already been rolled. And British Petroleum. Those are the top 3 that make up the one. What did I call it? Mercedes-Benz? The BP-Benz Glencore. The BP-Benz Glencore? Never even heard of that before. Glencore. What is it even? I gotta read this. It's a multinational commodity trading and mining company. Boom. That is perfect. Glencore definitely survive because you need a mine. If you can mine an asteroid, you can do stuff on Mars, mine it. Let's go Glencore. I like that. Glencore. What a roll. The BP Benz Glencore. Modified miner ship shoots a guided bolt, because that's exactly what I had stated. All right, let's try this one more time. Man, I like this. It's it's a good screensaver. They like to have those back in the day. I like that it doesn't die out, and like you can press the button and go. And it's very easy for you to understand the point of this game. The title matches what you're doing, and you can use your imagination, like has been shown and told. All right, I didn't live, and this has got to be the trigger. This is the thing that's going to change the world right now. Jupiter Wars. People will come back, and we'll see. The BP Benz Glencore modified miner ship shoots a guiding bullet at the human transporter. Okay. We have, I don't know, we have something. We have this. We have conflict, reason. I just don't know how to end this. And I have a lot of that story about Mars in my mind. So is it like to Mars, of Mars, and the best healing technology from the best healing technology and the private and exclusive corporate retreats and compounds. The AKA flyers flew from Mars and swarmed through space at the mining ships and transports controlled by union members trying to help the sick and injured workers live. A few China space and mining security fighters shaped like octopuses with waving arms, bending under the pressure of Jupiter, fly through glass clouds, firing bolts at the workers. The BP Benz Glencore modified miner ship shoots a guided bolt at the human transporter flown by Yovan. The ship shakes and red lights flash. Tells everyone to keep their spacesuits on. Let's have that in quotes, not the whole thing. That's kind of silly of me. Yuan tells everyone through the intercom, keep your spacesuits on. Excuse me. your mining suits on. I don't know how they're mining this stuff. You give me another few hours and maybe I'll come up with something, giving you enough time to search the web and end up at, well, likely Wikipedia and then other sources as well. I mean, it's good, like, has a great index at the bottom where you're like, maybe I want to go a little bit deeper. Let's find out who actually wrote this thing. Again. So the ship shakes and a red light flash, a red light flash, red lights and red lights and red lights flash. It'd be more than just one. Red lights flash. Yovan tells everyone through the intercom, keep your mining suits on. Just get out. Just a little more. Says Yovan. Gripping. Ooh. Be like, gripping the steering stick, wheel. I mean, it's a stick, right? But you can't, I don't know, that's just I don't know. Yes, foot pedals, stuff like that. I don't have time to have the mechanics of the entire ship, but let's do a little bit more Space War. So we got these 3 different types of fighter ships coming at us. They got guided missiles, and we're just trying to escape enough mass to go into scramjet mode. Just get a little more. Knowing almost far from the mass of Jupiter to trigger the scram rockets. Faster than fighter ships. There's something, I think. Feeling tense. Just get a little, says Jovan, knowing there. It's not mine, it's there. Knowing they are almost far from the mass of Jupiter to trigger far enough. That's just lazy sounding words to me. But maybe it fits the narrative and the whole narrative, but it's inconsistent with the narrative. I fail those words. Knowing they're almost far enough from the mass of Jupiter to trigger the scram rockets. That sucks. Let's change that. Let's move on. I keep on looking at that. I'm like, how's that? Rockets. Yes, the T. Rockets. Rockets. Faster than the fighter. Let's put the generalization with the article. Can I say again? I have to decide. I got 20 minutes. I mean, I think this sets up something. Sets up revolution, yo. And I mean that in a very meaningful and personal, deep way. Like, something has to give. And we'll start with workers. Already has. The ship shakes and red lights flash. Yovan tells everyone through the intercom, keep your mining suits on. Just get a little, he says, Yovan, knowing they're almost far enough from the mass of Jupiter to trigger the scram rockets faster than the fighter ships. Coughs. And sick baby cries. Oh. Speaks through the intercom. Yeah. I just gotta go. It's gotta end. But I'll end it. I mean, it's gonna have to end horrifically. I mean, logically it would. Like, be too. I mean, desperate. Pregnant woman. Pregnant worker. Cradles her stomach, hoping to feel. Well, I mean, I don't going to call out one. I'll just say how is it? All right, so I got 16 minutes. I got to get to it. So they're going to, an array of rockets. Because they wouldn't launch from the spaceships. The space fighters. Rockets destroy the human transporter. Yovan presses the red button to eject sections all the workers as he explodes with the ship. All right. As the people of Earth watch the spectacle streamed live through their entertainment feed, many cheer on the death of the Jupiter workers who are greedy and don't know a true day's work, according to corporations. A few people am I spelling Yovan's name differently? Probably. Like Yovan. I think I'm spelling the same. A few people think of Yovan. Of them. And slowly, the news plays and labels the workers of Jupiter as terrorists and the cause of the Jupiter War. Caused the Jupiter War. Yovan is a terrorist. But a few remembered and watched the live feed as the baby cried. Remember to watch the live feed as the baby cried and the mother knew her baby died during the work accident days ago. And sympathy goes unfiltered. Maybe. I don't know how to end this. I have no idea. I mean, I have some crazy thought in mind that a lot of these homebrew games will be part of a novella, but I need this to stand alone in its own story, even if I were to put this in with like a bigger story. Like trying something here. But even as its own story, it still has to stand alone. It still has to be its own. But if you remember, and those few remember are inspired. The worker. I need some water. I'll play Jupiter Wars one more time. And then I'm going to read the story aloud and hopefully find a thought that's just a little bit more numbing. Sometimes fiction's good it helps you escape, but don't let it make you get lost too far. Then you're going to have to see, that's just, you don't like, and I guess maybe that's one thing that to find this game hard, like you don't want to get hit. Yeah. There's no like crashing sound when that connection happens. I kind of like that because I like that it doesn't stop either. I know that's a cool mechanic. I don't need it in every game. I'm really just jealous of the corporate fighter ships. They got guided missiles. The human transporter doesn't. Fixed with just a laser bolt that shoots straight and can't guide. So, well, that was, I guess, the first classified homebrew inspired story. This game was created by not a major corporation or corporate entity, small business probably. I've researched it a bit. I don't have time to talk about that history. It'd be inaccurate likely anyway. That all said, let's go ahead and read this story called Jupiter Wars. Jupiter Wars. Jupiter Wars began after 100 corporation nations ruling Earth and the 10 super corporations controlling the moon and the 3 megacorporation empire owning Mars attacks the union workers on Jupiter. The workers unionized and voted to strike until they received a share of the profits from mining the helium hydrogen in Jupiter. The workers stole a transporter still configured to haul humans to Jupiter to work and load all the sick and hungry on the ship to ship them back to Mars. They affixed a laser beam to shoot their way out. "They're not going to die here on Jupiter working," said Yovan, flying the transporter and firing a laser beam affixed to it. The beam shoots the Amazon X Apple security spaceship AXA-4, shaped like an AXA. The AXA explodes. "Not unless you come to Jupiter to kill workers," said Yovan. Yovan's transport flies through the dense gas toward the trajectory of Mars. and the best health technology in the private and exclusive corporate retreats and compounds of Mars. The AXA-4 fighters flew from Mars to swarm through space at the mining ships and transports controlled by Union members, trying to help the sick and injured workers live. A few China space and mining security fighters shaped like octopuses and waving arms bent under the pressure of Jupiter, flying through the dense glass clouds and firing bolts at the workers. The BP Benz Glencore modified miner ship shoots a guided bullet at the human transporter flown by Yovan. The ship shakes and a red light flashes. Yovan tells everyone through the intercom, "Keep your mining suits on." "Just get a little," says Yovan, knowing they're almost far enough from the mass of Jupiter to trigger the Scram rockets, flying faster than the fighter ships. Coughs and sick babies cry through speakers in the intercom. A pregnant worker cradles her stomach to feel a baby kick. A child worker holds their broken wrist, swollen and throbbing for days. An array of rockets launch from the space fighters. The rockets destroy the human transporter. Yovan presses the red button to eject in sections all the workers as they explode with the ship. As the people of Earth watch the spectacle streaming live through the entertainment feed, many cheer in the death of the Jupiter workers who are greedy and don't have a true day's work according to the corporations. A few people think of Yovan and start to talk of them. The corporate news and the corporate filters plays and labels the workers of Jupiter as terrorists and cause of the Jupiter wars. Yovan is a terrorist. But a few remembered and watched the live feed and heard the baby cries, and the mother knew of her baby died during a work accident days ago. And sympathy goes unfiltered even after they replace the baby crying with sounds of people shouting, "Die, Earthlings, die." And those few remember and are inspired to fight for the worker and the poor and the ones like you. Well, that was a story. I'm happy I don't have to rate that right now. Write and publish a story while talking a transcript and streaming live. Let's put the name of it again. I think I know how to spell Jupiter now. Maybe. Let's go ahead and turn this game off. Well, I think it's time to go to work.